Hi and welcome to Ferry Road. This is the leaf blower we bought with the FEDAGA small grants money. So we're going to show you just a quick rundown, how to get going, basic things to check and stuff if you're borrowing it from us. Okay. So first thing, when the engine's cold, is to always check the oil. This was good for any engine, whether it's a rental car, car at home, van you're borrowing, and all the rest of it. It's always good to check the oil when it's before you use it. A lot of these leaf blowers are two-stroke. This particular one, and the reason we got this one under advice from the FEDAGA committee, this one's a four-stroke engine, and basically that means that the fuel, the petrol, and the oil are separate. You do never mix the two of them together with this particular machine. So we're going to check the oil, and the way the oil sump is, the oil sump's down the bottom, and so there's a long dipstick that curves around into the base of the engine. So to check it, when the engine's cold, on a flat surface, just unscrew it, and then see how it's all kind of curvy, and that's about halfway, so I might give that a wee top up. It's a bit footy to get back in, and make sure that's on nice and tight again. If we're needing to top up the oil, this should hopefully be all we check before you get borrowing it, but just in case it doesn't get done. To top up the oil, we turn it on its side, like that. So filling the oil, it's like that. Testing it, it's like that. Fuel goes in here, and again, it's just straightforward petrol, unleaded petrol from the petrol station. We have been adding a stabiliser to it because a lot of modern petrol have quite a lot of ethanol and stuff in it, and one of the things to say with garden machinery with these small engines is that the ethanol's pretty bad for them. So we add a stabiliser into it. We will be giving you a can of fuel ready to go with the machine, so you don't need to worry about that. But if it runs out and you've still got stuff to do, you can fill up the can again with straight grade 95 unleaded petrol from the petrol station, and that'll go in and that will work at a push. But just please let us know if you've done that, if you've had to put straight petrol in it. It'll run no problem at all. It's more things like long-term storage and stuff. Apparently if the leaf blower's sitting for a couple of weeks not getting used, the petrol starts to degrade in the tank and it starts to cause problems with the gubbins. Okay. One really crucial thing before you operate this machine is you need to be wearing the PPE. And this isn't just a precaution, this is a genuine need. So we will lend you a pair of ear defenders. These could probably clean up. I was using them with a compost sifter. Pair of ear defenders, some eye protection if you don't wear glasses. I mean, we're not going to get a lot of things striking in the face, but I'll explain that in a minute. And you definitely need a pair of thick gloves. I mean, I can lend you a pair. These ones are looking a bit tatty, that's our sort of adorable ones. But if you've got your own, so there's my own ones there. You need a pair of thick gloves that are going to give you a bit of cushioning. It's not so much about the kind of sharpness, it's the cushioning, because when you're holding this with the trigger going, you're getting a vibration off of this handle the whole time. And a little short period of time you don't really notice it, but after a little while, after an hour or two you're doing this, you will feel it in your fingers, and your fingers will be jumping. Trust me on this one. So we need thick gloves like this. We don't need disposable ones like this. It's not about unless you want to do something, unless you're worried about top up the oil or petrol or stuff. That's for something like top up the oil or petrol, that's fine. But for actually handling the machine, you need a pair of thick gloves. And if you know, most people have their own, but if you don't, we can lend you a pair of our loaner gloves. These haven't been worn for weeks, so you're pretty fine. So I'm aware a lot of you will probably be familiar with small engines, small machines and all the rest of it. And part of the reason we talk through some of the stuff is just to show you where things are, just a quick reference and stuff. So on the top here, slide this open, this is our access to our spark plug and the spark plug cover. So if we're working, when we want to like change the mode and stuff, when we're going near the fan, we want to disconnect that, and that just pushes back on. Hear a little click. That's metal hitting metal, that's good. So we keep that closed when we're operating. With this particular one, our choke switch is right here, and if I turn it this way, can you make that out? It's hard to tell on this tiny little camcorder screen. The top here is the choke closed and the bottom is the choke open. So we push the red lever up to start. Now, one little design thing that I'm not too keen on with this machine is that the primer bulb is here. So you've got to kind of get past this fuel cable to get into here. And the manual says 7 to 10 times. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then once it's primed and up the top here, very important, is the switch. So normally when you're working with your trick, you have your thumb up the top and you can actually trigger at the bottom, make it go, but push it forward, that'll kill it. Okay, so to always make sure it's towards the back when we're wanting to start. So here goes nothing. I bet it won't work because I'm trying to do this on camera. You can see it moving under its own vibration, and then the top switch instantly kills. Okay, so that's how much fuel we've got in here. It's got a transparent fuel tank, and it's getting a little bit hard to see. I think the fuel's just getting that bit low, so I might have to top this up before I do some work with it. Yeah, no, there's definitely fuel in there. Right, okay, so we start her up, let her run for a few minutes and choke, click it down. We're just trying to let the engine warm up when we first start, because if you try and go full hog with these small engines, well, one of the things I've been told is that if you go full hog with them before they get a chance to warm up, that's when things can really start to seize. So I'm going to start her up again and then we'll run her for a few minutes. So it's going to let it run for a couple of minutes. It's on the choke and I'm just going to switch it to pull up the choke. There you go. It's a manual choke, so it doesn't go off automatically. You can see it start to move. And then to work it, just pull the trigger. This side has a lock. You pull the trigger. That'll hold it on. Look at that. So, what happens is you pull the trigger up, you can push this button in, and that'll lock on the trigger on half. So if you're walking along, doing a long path or something, it means you don't have to have the trigger on all the time. But it's a bit like cruise control in your car. As soon as you pull the trigger again, it'll take it off. It'll keep running. And then if you want to kill the engine completely, just switch it off. So, so up, it runs, pull it. Okay. So, one of the reasons we wanted this particular model, apart from it being a 4-stroke, is that it is a blower, and you can see it's in blower mode just now with the long nozzle, but it can also be used as a vacuum shredder. So what happens is, turn this round like this so we can get a good look at it. So we have the fan here. This is the air intake fan. And when it's in blower mode like this, it's sucking in the air, it gets put through the pipe and comes straight down out the front, and there's the nozzle, and that'll blow. When we want to switch it to vacuum mode, this comes down and this comes off to be replaced by this bag, which we will show you shortly. For just now, I'm just going to go ahead and show you how to start up the engine, and then we'll talk about changing the mode and stuff. So it does come with a screwdriver of a tool set in the instruction pack. So you can see here we've got spark plug wrench, and we have this dilated screwdriver. What I might end up doing is just including a proper standard screwdriver with it instead of this one, because I find this one's a bit a nuisance. You've got to, yeah, it's a real nuisance. So what we've got to do to swap them around is you've got to actually kind of undo the nuts a little bit. So you can kind of see there's a little screw here, and this holds the pipe on for the blower. Don't need to assemble and disassemble the blower every time. It's just a case of taking this off, just try to change around a couple of nozzles. So let's see. Get on with this. So we've got our band. We have this band here that goes around. This keeps it on tight. So I don't want to undo it completely. I just want to undo it enough, and then twist. And off it comes. So that's the blower nozzle. And this is the vacuum. It doesn't go on here, thankfully, because again, there's no reverse gear on this. It only blows air one way. So what goes onto this end is our little friend here, the vacuum bag. And you can kind of see that it has the two holes that lines up. So there's a wee screwing nut just in here. So I'm going to undo that a wee bit. I don't want to undo it too much. Now let's see. So the blower faces this way. I think when we were doing the initial setup we took this off because we were finding it a wee bit too tricky. Right, so you probably can't see that there's two like molded buttons. See where my thumb is? One there and one there. And then because everything's black, it won't show up on the camcorder. So we slide this on somehow. Right. And then once it's on, give it a twist. Okay. And that locks it. And then on the other side here, we're just going to. Can you see that on the camcorder? I'm the world's worst maker of videos. Is this little? Just want to give it a couple of turns. So we've got a locking nut at the back here. Let's give that a couple of turns so it doesn't blow off. And that's just got that, and then that goes on our shoulder. Okay, so when it comes to fitting the vacuum bag, this is the front, this is where the nozzle is going to go on to suck things up. So when we're putting this on, we need to have it so that this bit, as it turns, faces towards our pull cord and our oil and our fuel and stuff, because we want this bag to come back the way so it can rest on our shoulder. So what I'm going to attempt to do is pop this on. There we go. And then we're going to twist. If we twist it, it's supposed to lock. And then, if you don't lose your screwdriver amongst the bag, start to screw. Not too much because I don't want to crack the plastic. I know it's quite good quality plastic, but there we go, that's on. Okay, so that goes onto our shoulder like that. Zips up. Right, perfect. Let's go find the nozzle now. So one of the few things that annoys me about this machine is, and I can see why when I was trying to look up this machine on YouTube before we bought it, why I couldn't make many videos with people attaching the vacuum kit, is because it's a bit footery, a bit of a nuisance. There's this little hole here it has to match up with this little threaded hole here. And it has these teeth, so it clicks in, and then this goes on, has to match up there because there's a screw that goes on just to doubly secure it. And I don't know if it's a dignified way to get this in. So it's a case of like trying to figure out to get it to match up. I'm sure there's a really obvious trick. I mean, it has this thing with a mark, but it doesn't go all the way around because it locks. So I don't know. So okay, so what I think it is there's like a little, the mark's there, and we have our little dot here, and then it moves round to here, to where the triangle is. And I'm hoping that when I turn this, see this little thin one here is going to slide underneath there, that big one's going to go underneath there. It's a bit footery trying to get it to match up. Nope, didn't get it that time. Go. Oh, bloody hell, right. Pardon my language. Right, so that's those two matched up. So I'm going to turn off the camera for a minute while I go and grab the screw and the bolt thing. Bear with me. Right. Again, I mean, I'm not an engineer, but I one thing I don't like is this little thing here. So I find this a bit footery. So you've got to basically put this little clip on and the screw, and then you have to go into this to hold it in place. So it kind of goes with its two little pieces go at the back, so like where the thin bit is, so it kind of like sits on the shelf like that, goes on like that. And again, this is why I think a better screwdriver is probably one of the good with the lend this machine out. Give that a wee twist. Hopefully you get the thread. I've got to tighten them now. Right. I'm sure once you get the hang of it, you'd be able to rattle through this in like no time. So this hangs up on your shoulder, and it pretty much all works the same, except that you're kind of carrying it. Well, you'll see when I do the video in a minute. You're carrying it in front of you. Right, so these are my safety glasses. This is a pair that I got just when I work in the summer. They are safety glasses, but they've got a dark tint in them. It's actually quite bright today, so I'm going to put them on, put the sun behind the camera. Got my ear defenders because when I start to work it does get really loud. Let's go for it. So, bag unzips. Get out with these. So make sure it's on. Make sure the choke's on because then they're still cold. So as you can see, it's chewing up the leaves. One thing we found that's really important is to try and, well, pretty obvious, but is to keep this little, make sure this pipe's clear. Try and keep it straight so the leaves get a chance to blow in, and it gives them a wee chew up as you go. I mean, I'm not doing it the most scientific there. I'm not the best at using it. I'm still learning how to use the camcorder. I'm still learning to use the leaf blower. Found that it's really good for, the blower is really good for gathering loads of stuff, and that's pretty good for like picking stuff off. And you don't want to disturb stuff. So if you're doing small areas, vacuum is brilliant. I mean, look at that, it's brilliant. It doesn't really touch the soil. It doesn't have enough suction to suck up the soil, but it's got enough suction to lift those leaves. So I might change it back over to the blower, and then I might just get out some of these leaves and see how it goes. Okay. So hey folks, here I am. Been at it for a few hours. Just take you and show what I've been doing. So this hasn't all been me. Edna and John and Agnes and so on have been gathered. I've been sweeping up the leaves, but I've done some of them. It just kind of demonstrates what we're trying to do with the leaf blower. Just like gather them up, and see if we gather them up to these piles, and then once I get up to the pile, scoop them up. So I'm using my snow shovel. And we'll just put them in this dumpy bag, which is just off camera here. Right, put the camera off and get some work done, eh?